Waking up in childhood male companion bed, I found a diamond ring on my middle finger, he said lazily. I've been sleeping with you for so many years, I have to give you some status. But soon I heard him laughing heartily with his cronies. She's just a bedmate. Why would I marry her? Lulu has been throwing a tantrum at me lately. I don't believe she can stay calm when she hears that I'm getting married. I neither cried nor made a scene. That night, I took a flight to a foreign country. My best friend said, "What's the use of running so far? It's all in vain if you can't let go of him in your heart." She didn't know that the ticket had been bought on the day he proposed. It was just for fun, and when things got out of hand, I had to run. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. What kind of expression is that? Are you so happy that you're dumb? Lin Ju was lazily leaning against the headboard, looking at me with a cigarette in his mouth. He was only wearing a pair of gray shorts, his upper body muscles clearly defined, and his cold white skin glistening in the sunset. Waking up to such a sight was indeed pleasing to the eye, but, looking at the 5-carat diamond ring on my middle finger, I rubbed my throbbing temple and fumbled around under the quilt, after searching for a long time. It was Lin Ju's long fingers that picked up the shoulder strap and handed the piece of lace fabric to me. "Thank you." As I was about to take it, Lin Ju withdrew his hand and leaned down to kiss me on the lips. "Didn't you say you had no strength left? I'll allow you to spend the night here. Sleep a little longer." With that, he left the room in a good mood. Lin Ju was right. Even an hour later, the legs under my quilt were still trembling slightly, out of my control. I was already over 25 years old, but it was no different from when I was just an adult. The first time I had sex with Lin Ju was when I was 18. After it was over, I instinctively nestled closer to him. He pushed me away impatiently and said emotionlessly, "Qing Shuang, you should leave." "Leave?" I stared at him blankly. He blew a smoke ring in my face and sneered. "You don't think you can spend the night here, do you think you're my girlfriend, aren't I?" Looking at the ambiguous red marks on his neck, I almost blurted out these 3 words. "This is a consensual thing. Let's not take it too seriously." When Lin Ju said this, he was smoking, and this posture made his face look extremely cold-hearted. I forced myself to swallow those 3 words. Lin Ju and I had done the most intimate things, yet he refused to admit that I was his girlfriend. Our ambiguous relationship lasted for so many years, until today. I unconsciously rubbed the ring in my hand. He said he wanted to marry me. The bedding on Lin Ju's bed was very comfortable, made of high-quality silk. I closed my eyes and slept straight until noon the next day. After a simple wash, I went downstairs. Halfway down, I caught a glimpse of Lin Ju and his cronies playing poker in the living room. Lin Ju's voice drifted over. "Why would I marry her? She's just a bedmate. She's clean and obedient, coming to me on her own. It would be a waste not to sleep with her." I stopped in my tracks and heard him continue. "Lulu has been giving me the cold shoulder lately. I don't know where that little girl learned it. I don't believe she can stay calm when she hears that I'm getting married." Someone asked him, "What if your Lulu really comes back to you? What are you going to do with Qing Shuang?" "I'll just call off the engagement." Lin Ju shrugged indifferently. Calling off the engagement right after getting engaged? Aren't you afraid Qing Shuang will make a scene? People get divorced even after getting married. I just proposed to her. Am I going to be pestered by her for the rest of my life? Besides, you don't know Qing Shuang. She's more obedient than a dog. I can just coax her a few words, and everything will be fine. Damn, you're really something, young Master Lin. Ear-splitting laughter rang out one after another. The villa had underfloor heating, but I felt a chill slowly rising from the soles of my feet. My empty stomach churned. I felt a bit nauseous. While my mind was in a turmoil, a sudden warm and wet sensation came from my feet. Looking down, it was the Alaskan Malamute that Lin Ju raised. It had come to my side at some point and was sticking out its wet tongue to lick my calf. Caught off guard, I was startled and let out a scream. This attracted the attention of Lin Ju and his cronies, who all looked over in unison. The moment Lin Ju saw me, his face darkened, his friends looked at me, then at Lin Ju's gloomy face, and collectively pretended not to see anything. Lin Ju threw down the cards, strode up to me, took off his coat, and wrapped it around me. He covered me tightly from my lower abdomen to my neck. Then he half dragged, half forced me back upstairs. Once back in the room, he glared at me. "What are you doing wandering around the house dressed like this?" I looked down at myself. Wearing a lace nightgown with thin shoulder straps, my fair neck and collarbone exposed. Then I looked at him. He was still angry, with a deep frown between his brows. I said indifferently, "I didn't know your friends were here." Lin Ju was still looking at me. Although he didn't say anything, his expression softened a bit. But soon, as if he remembered something, he stiffened. He touched his nose and asked me, "When did you wake up?" "Just now." I sat on the bed, looking up at him. This man, who had been laughing heartlessly just a few minutes ago, now had a hint of panic in his eyes. What was he panicking about? Afraid that I would mess up his plan, or afraid that someone as obedient as a dog would suddenly become less obedient? I knew this panic was fake. If I told him everything, he would probably just give up. Not willing, then I'll find someone else. I knew Lin Ju's bad nature better than anyone. I sneered in my heart and changed my tone. "Is Aunt Chen here today? I want to eat the fresh shrimp porridge she makes." Lin Ju stared at my face for 2 seconds, and then his stiff facial muscles gradually relaxed. "Fresh shrimp porridge, right? Wait." Lin Ju made a big show of posting a photo of his proposal on his WeChat Moments. In the picture, 2 hands wearing rings were tightly held together, and the diamonds on them sparkled brightly. I had no impression of it. Presumably, Lin Ju took it while I was asleep. This post quickly caused a stir in our mutual social circle. My phone kept vibrating with congratulatory messages. They all meant the same thing, more or less congratulating me on finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I simply turned on silent mode and lowered my head to deal with my work. In the evening, my best friend Cece called me. The first words that came through the phone were, "Qing Shuang, did Lin Ju really propose to you? Yeah, did you agree?" Before I could answer, she started cursing. "Are you stupid, Qing Shuang? You have so many metaphorical hats in your wardrobe. Do you really need a green one?" She hung up the phone and sent me a video. In the bar that Lin Ju often went to, the music was deafening. Suddenly, a girl in a white dress rushed in. Her delicate face was free of makeup, and she looked out of place in the noisy environment. Her eyes were red as she questioned Lin Ju. "You're getting married." This was probably the Lulu that Lin Ju mentioned. Everyone in the booth fell silent, and their eyes shifted back and forth between Lin Ju and Lulu, waiting to watch the show. Lin Ju was still holding a wine bottle, lazily leaning on the seat. "Yeah, so what?" Lulu's eyes turned even redder, a layer of mist covering her eyeballs, and her tears were on the verge of falling. She looked extremely pitiful. She slapped Lin Ju and gritted her teeth. "Lin Ju, you're a jerk." With that, she rushed out of the bar. Lin Ju, instead of getting angry after being slapped, laughed even more wantonly and then chased after her. The scene changed. By the side of the road, Lin Ju and she were entangled. Lin Ju still had that lazy look. He looked at Lulu with a half smile. "What does my marriage have to do with you? Who are you to me? You say I can't get married." "Ha!" Lulu grabbed the hem of her skirt. Her face flushed red. Lin Ju's eyes darkened. He pressed her head and fiercely kissed her. Lulu struggled symbolically a few times and soon went limp in his arms. The two of them kissed passionately. After watching the video, Cece called again. "Now you're not even a bedmate. He's clearly using you as a tool. Girl, are you still going to get married?" I was about to speak when the announcement on the plane drifted into the phone. Cece was stunned. "Qing Shuang, where are you? On the plane?" "What?" I sighed. "Cece, actually, I already knew why Lin Ju proposed to me." She interrupted me. "So now you can't take the blow in love and you're running away." Cece clicked her tongue. "What's the use of running so far? It's all in vain if you can't let go of him in your heart." As she spoke, the flight attendant came up to me, saying that the plane was about to take off and reminding me to turn off my phone. I said helplessly, "I'll talk to you when I get back." The feeling of weightlessness hit. and the ground gradually moved away from me. Cece didn't know that leaving wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. The ticket had been booked on the night Lin Ju proposed to me. He announced our engagement all over the world, but in fact, I had never agreed to his proposal. In fact, when Lin Ju coldly told me to leave after our first time having sex, I felt a sense of relief. To be fair, Lin Ju was indeed popular among the opposite sex. His good looks, unrestrained personality, and superior family background could easily drive girls crazy, but I grew up with him, and I knew exactly what kind of person he was. He was strong-willed, domineering, unruly, and self-centered. These traits might be considered charming in a relationship, but if it came to marriage, it would be extremely annoying. I'm a die-hard face of control. After sleeping with someone as attractive as Lin Ju, it was hard for me to take a fancy to other men. Moreover, although Lin Ju seemed dissolute on the surface, he never messed around with women. He was good in bed and clean, although I sometimes had to humble myself to soothe his temper. In this relationship, I wasn't the one at a disadvantage. Of course, there was an even more important reason. The ambiguous atmosphere between Lin Ju and me was obvious to both of our families, my snobbish parents. Upon discovering the opportunity to get in touch with the Lin family, naturally stopped urging me to go on blind dates, and the Lin family's parents, knowing their son's temperament, felt a bit guilty towards me. After graduating, I took over the family company and benefited a lot from them in the business world. So when Lin Ju proposed to me, my heart sank, and I felt cold all over. Coincidentally, there was urgent work at the foreign branch that needed my attention. I seized the opportunity and asked my assistant to book the ticket that night. I looked at the night view outside the window and slowly exhaled. Fortunately, Lin Ju was just using me as a tool and didn't really want to marry me. Fortunately, I thought that since Lin Ju and Lulu had made up, he wouldn't have time for me. But the day after I got off the plane, he called me from overseas. Qing Shuang, what are you doing running off to a foreign country without saying a word? No, immediately, book a ticket and come back to the country, I said with difficulty. I'm not going back. He was stunned for a moment and then said in a deep voice, you know about Lulu? Yeah, since you already have someone you really like, then I didn't know what words to use to describe our strange relationship. After a long while, I said dryly, let's break it off. Unexpectedly, Lin Ju sneered. Qing Shuang, you're really good at playing hard to get now. You want to use this trick to make me break up with Lulu. You're barking up the wrong tree. You want to break it off? Fine, as you wish. He hung up the phone with a snap. I copied some emo-style sentences from the internet and posted a few moments that were only visible to Lin Ju. With Lin Ju, if you act calm and composed, he might come back to pasture you out of boredom someday. But if you cry and make a scene, he'll think it's boring and want to run as far away as possible. I turned off the screen, feeling that the boulder pressing on my chest had finally disappeared. My assistant knocked on the door of my office, reminding me that the new tycoon from the technology company who came to discuss cooperation had arrived. Since he was a programmer by background, I originally thought he would be a reserved and introverted tech guy wearing black-rimmed glasses, but the moment I saw him, I realized I was too narrow-minded. The man raised his eyes, and the long outer corners of his eyes curved into a handsome arc. He was wearing a well-tailored black custom-made suit, with a matching overcoat on his shoulders, and the watch on his hand added a touch of low-key luxury. Seeing me push the door in, he stood up and extended a hand towards me. He had broad shoulders and long legs, and his chest was well-built. I was only as tall as his chin even in high-heeled shoes. He was at least 185 centimeters or more. Hello, I'm Lu Zhao. His voice was deep and pleasant, like the strings of a cello being plucked, making my heart flutter. Hello, I'm Qing Shuang. I shook hands with him, and our hands separated quickly. Although he was good-looking, and it was pleasing to the eye, I was more interested in the new technology he had. Once I established contact with him, I was confident that the business scale of Cheng's group could expand to twice its current size in the next 5 years. According to the information sent by my assistant, Lu Zhao had worked his way up from nothing to his current position. I watched him sitting across from me, thinking clearly and speaking concisely. He was really capable. After the conversation, I had an even better impression of him. Lu Zhao was about to leave, and I stood up to see him off. Accidentally, I twisted my ankle and fell towards him, I swear. It was really not on purpose. I really disdain to use such a low-level trick as throwing myself into someone's arms. It was just that the new high-heeled shoes hadn't been broken in yet. Lu Zhao was quick-eyed and caught me, his palm touching the bare skin on my shoulder. The touch was dry and warm. His fingertips paused, and he quickly withdrew his hand. I turned my head, my hair brushing against his cheek, and smiled. "Thank you, Mr. Lu. You're welcome. I'm glad you're okay, Ms. Ching." His lowered black eyes betrayed no emotion. He just nodded faintly and soon left with his assistant, but I noticed keenly that the tips of his ears seemed to turn red. In the pantry, I was quietly making coffee. A few young girls in the company didn't notice my presence and were enthusiastically discussing Lu Zhao, who had just left. That was Mr. Lu from Ruifeng Technology, right? Seeing is believing. He's so handsome. Exactly, and look at his nose and hands. I really envy Mr. Lu's girlfriend for having such a good-looking partner. Hey, do you think Mr. Lu has a girlfriend? I paused in my actions and pricked up my ears. I know, he doesn't. What? With looks like that and being so young and promising, how could he not have a girlfriend? He really doesn't, the person insisted. And, for all these years, there haven't been any rumors about his love life. The group of people were stunned. At this time, someone said hesitantly, "Could Mr. Lu be gay?" "What are you talking about? You've read too many novels. With Mr. Lu's looks, there's no way he's gay." The discussions around me gradually became blurred, and my thoughts drifted away. The image of him with a poker-faced expression but red ears emerged in my mind again. He really did seem like someone who didn't get close to women much. In my circle, those second-generation rich kids, relying on their family's wealth, changed girlfriends as often as flowing water, without any concern for getting diseases. In contrast, Lu Zhao was like a breath of fresh air. He was kind of interesting. I kind of wanted to pursue this guy. Wait, speaking of this, Lin Ju could also barely be considered a breath of fresh air. However, now he had Lulu by his side. I left the pantry expressionlessly and asked my assistant to make an appointment for my physical examination next week. I postponed my return to the country during the days I stayed abroad. I met Lu Zhao almost every day. We started with business-related conversations about work, and later we could occasionally chat about daily life. Our relationship grew closer day by day. Today, he even accompanied me to queue up for the famous local cappuccino. The queue was long, and Lu Zhao seemed unaccustomed to such a noisy place, his brow slightly furrowed. Someone was walking towards us and was about to brush past me. He protected my shoulder and pushed me inwards a bit. After this series of actions, he quickly distanced himself from me. After graduating, I joined my family's company and worked my way up from the grassroots level. At that time, I concealed my identity and witnessed all kinds of strange and ugly behaviors of men. Just by saying a few words, they couldn't wait to touch my hand and take as much advantage as possible. After a meal, my stomach was empty. I was too disgusted to eat. I turned my head to look at the man beside me. His brow bones were straight and handsome, and his appearance was full of sexual tension, yet he wrapped himself tightly with cold eyes and distant manners, so the occasional leak of a trace of hormones was even more tantalizing. My heart itched, as if a kitten had scratched it. Lu Zhao noticed my gaze. First, he slightly turned his head to avoid it, then took a shallow breath and turned to ask me, "What are you looking at?" "I'm looking at how handsome you are," I blurted out. His sharp Adam's apple rolled, and he turned his face away again, his ears turning completely red once more. "I'm sorry. I accidentally said what was on my mind, Mr. Lu. Please don't take it to heart." I apologized, but I was faking it. I said this on purpose. There had been enough slow-paced flirting. It was time to give our relationship a strong push, so, when the coffee arrived, I propped my chin and glanced at the cup in his hand. Is your coffee good? You can try it. Lu Zhao handed the coffee to me and turned to the side, seemingly wanting to go back and get another straw. I deliberately misinterpreted his meaning and took the cup to take a sip directly. Mine tastes better. I squinted and smiled at him out of the corner of my eye. I saw Lu Zhao staring at the coffee cup in a daze. Finally, he raised his head and took a sip. After observing him for these days, I knew that Lu Zhao had a serious cleanliness obsession. If he wasn't interested in me, in his style, he would probably just hold the coffee cup in his hand as a decoration. After I left, he would throw it into the trash can without any hesitation. But now, he drank it. The curve of my lips became more obvious. I knew when to stop. I didn't pester him further and parted ways with Lu Zhao at the intersection. His Maybach drove away in a cloud of dust, and I turned back to the hotel. As soon as I turned around, I met Cece's eyes. Cece squinted at me. Well, I was worried that you couldn't get over your heartbreak and came all the way here to accompany you, but you already have a new love. Tell me the truth. Who is he? In the restaurant, Cece was dumbfounded. So you never planned to marry Lin Ju, so you were playing me, huh? I had just coaxed Lin Ju a couple of times in front of our mutual friends, and they all thought I was deeply in love with Lin Ju and couldn't extricate myself. I shrugged, showing that I was also helpless. Lin Ju is the type you can have fun with, but when it comes to marriage, I don't want that fortune. So all these years, you were just attracted to his body. I thought for a moment. Not entirely, you know. If I wanted to, I could afford any young and handsome guy. But, have you noticed, with Lin Ju around, my parents have stopped urging me to go on blind dates, and, last week, Uncle Lin even introduced clients to me. He and Auntie are nice people. I just don't know why they gave birth to Lin Ju like this. After hearing this, Cece was stunned and gave me a thumbs up. High, really high. You really made the most of every bit of benefit from Lin Ju, from head to toe, inside and out. Cece stopped halfway through her words. I didn't notice at all. I lowered my head to scoop a spoonful of the mousse cake in front of me. Suddenly, I scooped up a foreign object. When I took it out, I was shocked. Wasn't this the engagement ring I left for Lin Ju before going abroad? I was startled and looked up, then heard Lin Ju's voice coming from behind. Oh, what kind of person am I? Lin Ju angrily grabbed me and dragged me outside. The big hand on my wrist was like iron, squeezing me painfully. Lin Ju, he ignored me. On the way, I accidentally broke a few glasses. The waiter came forward, looking hesitant. Lin Ju directly threw a card to him, put it on my tab. After leaving the restaurant, he pushed me against the wall and suddenly got very close. His scorching breath sprayed all over my face. Qing Shuang, you're really something. If I hadn't heard all this today, I wouldn't have known you were playing me like a fool. His eyes were red, really like a mad dog. He even took out his phone, opened my WeChat moments, and shoved it in front of my eyes. Are you addicted to acting? Why didn't you study acting back then? I lowered my head to rub my wrist, but he pinched my face and forced me to look up and meet his eyes. His palm was wide, with prominent veins. If his hand moved down a few inches, my life might be in danger. I swallowed hard. How did you come here? As my eyes shifted, I noticed that he was still holding a bunch of bright red roses in his other hand. He saw it too, his expression turning angry, and he threw it away casually. I remembered the ring I had eaten and was too surprised to speak. Was Lin Ju going to propose to me again? He seemed to see what I was thinking and patted my face. Yeah, I saw your moments and was afraid you'd do something stupid and die abroad, and your family would hold me responsible. Proposing to you. Are you really proud now? Are you in love with me? I raised my eyebrows. Lin Ju's eyes flickered, and soon he sneered. I just slept with you a few more times. Do you really think you're a fairy? Counting, you're 25 this year. Do you still think you're a charming girl in her early 20s? Of course, I knew Lin Ju couldn't love me. How could he have the ability to love? He was a spoiled child, only capable of causing trouble. Once I heard his friend ask him, "What's going on between you and Qing Shuang all these years? Are you really going to get married?" He replied indifferently with a laugh, "Why not? My parents are quite satisfied with her. And she's so obedient. Marry her and keep her at home. I can still go out and have fun, right? I said that on purpose to disgust him. I nodded. Fine. I'm not worthy of you. I admit that I had motives in our relationship, but you didn't suffer a loss either, did you? We don't owe each other anything. Let's part ways amicably. Now that I had a new target in Lu Zhao, I was too lazy to coax him. This was for the best for both of us. He was stunned, then gritted his teeth and said, "Fine." Qing Shuang, don't you dare regret it. He threw the ring and left without looking back. The ring rolled into the nearby sewer with a dull thud. The 7-year farce with Lin Ju finally came to an end. Cece, having heard the gossip, returned to the country satisfied. I still went to work and got off work every day, and when I was free, I went on dates with Lu Zhao. In the lovers' restaurant, the candlelight flickered, and the sound of the violin was melodious. The tip of my high-heeled shoe occasionally swept across Lu Zhao's suit pants. Today's date was destined to have an extra post-meal program. This was something we both understood without words. After casting the net for so long, it was time for me to reel it in. I looked at Lu Zhao's eyes reflecting the dots of candlelight and smiled brightly. After the meal, when it was time to leave, I was about to get up. Suddenly, a pair of hands landed on my shoulders, pressing me back down. I turned my head and saw Lin Ju smiling menacingly. Qing Shuang, is this your new love? Why don't you introduce him? His hostility was obvious, and Lu Zhao noticed it too. He frowned and asked me, Qing Shuang, who is this? I opened my mouth and thought for a few seconds because my relationship with Lin Ju was quite complicated. Finally, I just vaguely summarized it as a childhood friend. Hearing this, Lu Zhao's expression softened a bit. But Lin Ju suddenly turned his head and stared straight into my eyes. Oh, a childhood friend. He curled the corners of his mouth, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. I was familiar with this expression. It was the prelude to his anger. My heart sank suddenly, and I heard Lin Ju drawl, "Yes, indeed a childhood friend, but one who eats meals together and occasionally sleeps together." I stood up abruptly. "Lin Ju, that's enough." He didn't stop. Instead, he laughed mockingly and asked me, "What's wrong, Qing Shuang? Which word did I say wrong? Should I tell him what positions we used the night before you went abroad?" I was stunned and looked at Lu Zhao in a bit of a panic. Although the times have progressed, I thought that a proud man like Lu Zhao, upon hearing such words, it was probably all over between him and me. Sure enough, he was withdrawing his gaze from me, his brows slightly knitted, and his eyes full of complexity. Then, he left the restaurant without saying a word. My heart sank completely. Lu Zhao's appearance and personality were exactly the type I liked. I didn't know when I would meet someone as satisfying as him again. Moreover, all the efforts I had put into pursuing him during this period were now in vain. I clenched my fists, and my eyes uncontrollably became sore. This clearly wasn't something worth crying about, but strangely, I couldn't control my emotions today. Seeing that Lu Zhao had left, Lin Ju was gloating. "Come on, Qing Shuang. He may dislike you, but I don't. I've had enough of playing around for so many years. I think this is good for us. I've already broken up with Lulu. How about, I couldn't take it anymore." I suddenly pulled my hand back and slapped him. "Get out." As I said this, the tears finally couldn't hold back and fell. Lin Ju covered his face in disbelief, his expression turning angry. "You hit me for him." Halfway through, he met my eyes and was stunned. I picked up my bag and left the restaurant in big steps. Outside, it had started to drizzle at some point. There was no sunset glow today. The sky was covered with dark clouds, gloomy and overcast. All kinds of emotions fermented in my heart, like carbonated bubbles constantly expanding. For some reason, I remembered the scene when I was 12 years old and first caught my father cheating. In my astonished eyes, he calmly took a puff of his cigarette and said that my mother actually knew about his affairs. He also said that this was how things were between men and women, that interests were eternal, and that I would understand when I grew up. So, all these years, I've been living in the moment, maintaining a deformed relationship with Lin Ju. So what if Lin Ju was selfish, promiscuous? All men were like that. Why not find someone with a good figure and looks who could bring me the most benefits and enjoy myself? But Lu Zhao was different. His sense of boundaries and his purity in dealing with feelings were something I had never seen before. He gave me an illusion that as long as I was with him, I could gain sincere feelings. I thought I had long since stopped longing for these things because of him. I realized that those longings had always been buried deep in my heart, waiting for a certain opportunity to start taking root and sprouting. Then, with his actions, Lu Zhao uprooted these longings. The rain seemed to be getting heavier, wetting my face. I fumbled to wipe it, but it seemed like I couldn't wipe it all away. When I felt the warmth in my hands, I realized that these were actually my tears. I heaved a long sigh, saying it was just for fun, but I ended up getting myself involved. What a disgrace, Qing Shuang. You're really embarrassing. The next second, a familiar voice came from behind. Where are you going? I turned around and froze on the spot, because Lu Zhao was standing in front of the Maybach, holding a huge black umbrella, looking down at me. He didn't leave. In the car, Lu Zhao handed me a luxury shopping bag. Inside was a dress similar to the one I was wearing. I was looking at it blankly when I suddenly noticed that next to the dress, there were also 2 packs of sanitary pads. My breath caught, and I quickly lowered my head. On my white dress, there were now dots of red marks, like plum blossoms blooming. My period had come early, my face flushed tomato red, and I resisted the urge to cover my face. I asked him, "You left just now to buy these for me?" "Not entirely." Lu Zhao pondered for a moment. "I thought in that situation, you'd want me to leave." Indeed, if Lu Zhao hadn't left, with Lin Ju's mouth, he might have said even more unpleasant things. I stared at the dress in my hand, and a warm current seemed to flow through my heart. The Maybach stopped at the entrance of the hotel where I was staying. I got out of the car and turned around to see that Lu Zhao had also gotten out. "Come on, didn't you say you'd invite me to your room to listen to the vinyl records you just bought?" Lu Zhao raised his eyebrows at me, who was standing there in a daze. Inviting him to listen to records was essentially the same as inviting him home to watch a cat do a backflip. I thought this plan should have been cancelled considering this special moment today. I felt that from the moment I met Lu Zhao after leaving the restaurant, something was gradually deviating from its original direction. After listening to the records, Lu Zhao sat beside me and we started watching a movie on the projector. It was already past midnight. With his posture, was he planning to spend the night here? I couldn't help but think of Lin Ju. One day, he came to my apartment and happened to run into my period. He impatiently clicked his tongue, grabbed his coat, and was about to leave. I tugged at his sleeve, my face wrinkled in pain from menstrual cramps. "Lin Ju, can you buy me a pack of sanitary pads?" He looked at me in disbelief. "Me, a grown-up man, buying this kind of thing for you? Isn't that embarrassing? Can't you order takeout yourself?" When he reached the door, he couldn't help but add, "You should have said it was your period earlier." What a waste of my time. Looking at the calm side profile of the man beside me, I had the urge to explain for the first time. The man in the restaurant today was my childhood friend. I did have a relationship with him for a while, but we broke up a long time ago. I don't know why he suddenly came and said those strange things. Lu Zhao tilted his head. "Do you think I'd mind what he said?" I hesitated for a moment and then nodded. Many men say they don't mind, but seeing and hearing with their own eyes and ears are always different. Lu Zhao smiled and flicked my forehead. "You're so silly. This kind of thing is as natural as eating and drinking. What's there for me to mind? Of course, you don't need to feel ashamed of it either." Why didn't he feel ashamed when he said those words? Just because of the gender difference. I thought I was clear-headed enough, but it seemed that subconsciously I had also accepted the values imposed by the outside world. I saw myself in his clear pupils, and a strange feeling flashed through my heart. It was like putting a frozen person in warm water. The first feeling was discomfort. I leaned my head against his neck, avoiding his gaze. To get rid of that strange feeling in my heart, I started teasing him. "Oh, since this is as natural as eating and drinking, then Mr. Lu, you can think of me as an extremely picky person. If I don't have someone I like, I'd rather starve." His breath hitched, and he grabbed the hand I had hanging in front of his Adam's apple. His serious expression finally completely fell apart. Qing Shuang, stop, you know I can't. Looking at his flustered appearance, I burst out laughing, but when he suddenly picked me up, and I felt the heat under me, I couldn't laugh anymore. Lu Zhao buried his head in my shoulder and said hoarsely, Qing Shuang, don't move, just like this. It'll be okay in a while. His embrace was broad, warm, and accompanied by a faint woody fragrance. Thoughtlessly, I thought that perhaps hugging was the most intimate act in the world, because I had never been so close to anyone's heart. Lu Zhao and I officially confirmed our relationship. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay with him for long because there was still a lot of work waiting for me to deal with in China. After reluctantly saying goodbye to him at the airport, I got on the plane back to China. Unexpectedly, my parents came to pick me up. They had a subtle smile on their faces and greeted me with extraordinary enthusiasm. Don't rush back to the company. Let's have a meal first. When we arrived at the private room, I finally understood the reason for their strange attitude. Pushing open the door, Lin Ju and his parents were all there. As soon as she saw me, Lin Ju's mother immediately stood up and pulled me to sit beside her. Lin Ju only glanced at me, snorted, and didn't say anything. Xiaoshuan, you really are something. Lin Ju is not sensible, but how could you also hide such a big thing as the engagement from us? I looked at Lin Ju in shock. Lin Ju lowered his head to pick up peanuts and didn't look at me. I realized that he was the mastermind behind all this. Lin Ju's mother continued to hold my hand with a smile. Lin Ju is a brat. He's such an adult, but he still makes your Uncle Lin and me worry every day. With you watching over him, Auntie can rest assured. Everyone knew that Lin Ju was unruly and needed someone to keep an eye on him. They couldn't watch over him for a lifetime, so they decided to hand this burden to me. In the name of a bride, I looked at my parents not far away. They didn't refute and were smiling in agreement. I felt like laughing. This farce ended when Lin Ju's mother tried to put their family heirloom bracelet on my hand, and I declined politely. Auntie, Lin Ju did propose to me, but I think he didn't make it clear to you. I never agreed to him. Lin Ju suddenly looked up, and the knuckles of his fingers holding the chopsticks turned faintly white. So, Auntie, I can't accept this bracelet. Thank you for your kindness. I picked up my bag and left the private room in big steps behind me. My parents were forced to smile. It turns out to be a misunderstanding. These two kids are really something. The food is served. Let's eat first. It's been a long time since our two families sat together for a meal. When I reached downstairs, Lin Ju chased after me. He grabbed my arm. Qing Shuang, what do you mean? Where do you think my face will be put like this? You should have thought of this consequence when you lied to your parents. I was too lazy to waste words with him and reached out to hail a taxi. Lin Ju suddenly spoke behind me. Qing Shuang, all these years, have you really never liked me, even a little bit? I thought for a moment, took a deep breath, and turned around. Yes, I did. If I really had no feelings for Lin Ju, I wouldn't have accepted his invitation in a muddle-headed way after the college entrance examination. But perhaps what I had a crush on was never Lin Ju himself. It was the unconditional love he received from his parents, even though he had been idle, not learning any skills, and spending his days in bars and racing cars. His parents would only sigh and then take care of everything for him. They even kept a position for him in the company all the time, although he never cared about it. The confidence that came from being loved on him was what attracted me, even though I was my parents' only child. They never had the idea of letting me take over the company. They even once tried to train a child from a collateral branch as the heir. The only plan for me was to find a marriage partner beneficial to the Qing group, just because I was a woman. For so many years, while Lin Ju was having fun in the bar all night, I was working overtime all night for a project. Lin Ju even laughed at me for the way I was straining every cell in my body to climb up. He said, "It's really ugly. Is it necessary?" Of course, it was necessary. I tried my best and finally reached the same position as him. Today, in the private room, my parents just let me leave instead of forcing me to marry Lin Ju. That was the best proof. But whether I had feelings for you in the past or not, I don't have them now. Lin Ju's eyes dimmed. He gritted his teeth unwillingly. What if I say I've fallen in love with you? I stared at him for 2 seconds and then smiled gently. Come on, Lin Ju. You're just not used to the fact that I, who used to fawn over you, suddenly stopped. That's why you're so unwilling. Lin Ju's eyes flickered, as if he was gathering his thoughts, but I didn't have the patience to wait for him to finish. I waved my hand without looking back and got into a taxi. It was another day when I was busy at the company until 10 p.m., dragging my tired body. I left the company building. Then, I caught sight of a familiar figure not far away. Lu Zhao was leaning against a pillar, looking at me with a smile, his arms folded. The moment I saw him, I felt all my fatigue disappear. I let out a scream and threw myself into his arms. Why did you suddenly come back to China? Why didn't you tell me? He scratched my nose. It's a surprise for you. I was already over 25 years old, but it was no different from when I was just an adult. The business expansion can't be completed without a 1 or 2 year plan. Lu Zhao's company started in Country A. Whether it was the general environment or resources, staying there was the most beneficial for him. Why would he target the domestic market when his company was just starting up? I couldn't figure it out, so I stopped thinking about it, because at this moment, I was busy unbuttoning the meticulously arranged buttons on his chest. The night was as gentle as water. Lu Zhao looked at the sleeping woman in front of him, and his thoughts drifted away. Before his entrepreneurial success, he had gone through a dark period. Before his company was on the verge of dissolution, he received an investment. At that time, Lu Zhao was deeply mired in self-doubt. He himself didn't know what drove him, but he was eager to meet this investor. On the way, he learned that the investor was the only daughter of an entrepreneur. He guessed that she was probably a carefree young girl who didn't know the hardships of the world. But when he arrived downstairs at the investor's company, he saw her squatting in the corner, crying bitterly. After crying, she wiped away her tears and threw herself back into the battle, the swaying figure in high heels, with a vibrant vitality that radiated from her bones. On many nights, when he couldn't hold on, he would think of this figure. That vitality seemed to have planted a small seed in his heart, which then sprouted and finally grew into a towering tree. From then on, he was invincible. Lu Zhao kissed her cheek and whispered, "Thank you," and "I love you." The end.